Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to another coffee talk. Today I'm like beaming right now because we're doing a cosmic brew and I feel very aligned with today's topic. I have been struggle city lately. Let me tell you, just a quick detour if you guys want a random little mini life update. I've been struggling to be in my greater masculine energy, if you will. Today we're going to be talking about feminine energy and how to activate your divine feminine, and it's going to be a really fun chat because I feel like I've been all up in that energy pretty much since I want to say like end of October. I've just been I can't explain it any other way than I've just been in the deep divine feminine. I've been nourishing that side of my soul. I've been energetically working with that whole just that. It's made it really hard for me to kind of dip back into my masculine energy because I feel like specifically when it comes to work, and I recently have purchased a house which has basically taken the vast majority of my more dominant masculine energy to do things. So just to sit down and like work right now has been a struggle. I feel like I've just been wanting to just be all up in my feels and healing and in my just like intuitive caring side and like dancing and just like yoga and meditating and journaling and just that, being around family, and not so much in my dominant solar wanting to work all the time, wanting to just study and learn and whatever. Anyway, long story short, I'm happy we're having a cosmic brew today. I've been thinking about it, contemplating about it, learning about it, and I just want to have an open chat about it. And I want to hear your guys' opinions on everything we talk about today. The thing I love about cosmic brews is it's really just taking the things that I find really interesting in daily life and turning it into like the energetic talk or debate of it. So I brought a peppermint tea to today's chat and I'm ready to dive in if you are. So before we can even jump into the discussion on how to channel, how to heal, or just how to work with your feminine energy or your divine feminine, the divine feminine, we kind of have to, I guess, explain what that even is. And I'm sure you have heard somewhat of this information before, but just in case you haven't, let's go over the basics. So there are actually 4 divine energies, but they are made up of 2 kind of like prime examples, which would be the yin and the yang, or the masculine and the feminine, or the Shiva and the Shakti, which is just all the exact same things, just different labels for it. And it actually has nothing to do with gender in a lot of ways, which is, I feel like, one of the first misconceptions we normally have about hearing the words feminine and masculine. I feel like, I don't want to jump down that wormhole, but it literally has nothing to do with gender. Everybody has a little bit of both. Everybody has masculine and feminine energy in them, and you're able to actually work and play with those energies and pull on those energies, and it really depends on what your intention is underneath working with those energies, but to really, I guess, create kind of like a cocktail brew that works best for you in whatever stage of your life that you're in. So today's chat is kind of a tailspin off of our All Right Ladies Let's Have the Talk, where we talked about sex and female pleasure and so many different things. And I asked you guys, or I kind of brought up the idea of doing a cosmic brew about this, about activating your divine feminine and working with your feminine energy, and a lot of you guys commented saying you wanted to hear it. So we're going to be focusing today more on the Shakti side of energy, but if you guys want to keep having this conversation, you want to dip into the masculine or the yang energy, you want to talk about how to balance that because all of us have that energy in us too, by all means let a girl know. I'm always happy to make another tea, brew up another brew with you guys and just sit and chat. Just let me know because I'm happy to do it. But today we're going to be speaking more so about our divine feminine energy. And if you are a guy watching this, you definitely don't need to bop off or go away. But this is going to be, I'm going to speak more generally towards females today. Just wanted to let you guys know. So what actually is, I mean, I'm going to say Shakti, feminine energy, yin energy interchangeably throughout today's chat, but Shakti energy is known as the divine feminine or the great divine mother, like the mother of all mothers that is all of our mother, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It's all about energy and movement and fluidness and creativity and self-expression and like so many other things. It's connecting with nature, and all of that really feeds into that divine feminine. But the further I've actually dipped into all of this, the more interesting this whole world is to me. Like, I am totally an amateur when it comes to even talking about this today, but I'm going to speak in my own, I guess, fluent tongue, which is just my life experience and what I've learned. But I find all of this so cool because the more I dive into all of this, the more it really makes sense, and you can start to make connections across so many different spiritual beliefs and religions and even science. Like, all of these things are starting to connect more and more the more we learn, or at least it feels that way for me on my own self-study in life. And I got really curious about my feminine energy. I've always been curious about it, but I want to say I started really dipping into it like this year or end of 2019 coming into 2020. It was like a full-on shift from going through my like very dominant masculine, get things done, like just that me energy, to channeling this whole new side of me that came with really embracing my feminine energy, which, if we're gonna be real, a lot of that was probably triggered through my therapy because I've been doing so much therapy and deep child work, if you will. It's honestly quite interesting. The more that I started to unpack my relationship with my mom and therapy, the more I feel like I've been drawn to and healing this more feminine side of my soul. That's deep, but that's honestly the truth, and that's why I feel like that, mixed with going through a bit of like a heartbreak, really just, I wouldn't say forced me into, but it moved me towards this whole journey I feel like I've been taking for like a year of just embracing my feminine energy and really tapping into that part of me. That's where I came to learn about the four great energies, like greater yin, greater yang, and then lesser yin and lesser yang. And we all tend to kind of dominantly fall in one of those, but we all have all of those energies within us. And then that also, by the way, led to another sidetrack or wormhole about sexual polarity when it comes to energy. Because once you get into like your divine feminine, you might realize, especially if you're dating somebody or you are having sex with somebody, you can start to see the four divine energies at play and how the polarity within those energies kind of plays on sexual tension. It's so cool. Honestly, I love this stuff. I don't know, I find that shit so interesting, and then playing with it and exploring with it, it's cool. It's usually the differences within these energies that creates that sexual attraction, and it's the similarities within these energies that create that emotional attraction. So when it comes to falling in love or friendships or having, sexual friends, if you've got any of those in your back pocket, all of this is just really cocktails of different types of energies playing off of each other, and how the differences and the similarities kind of draw you to and from people in life. It's just like I feel like that was a very basic explanation of my general knowledge of most of these things. But like I said, today we're going to be talking more about the feminine, the divine feminine, and how to really dip into your feminine energy, channel that feminine energy, heal it if you feel you need to heal that feminine energy, play with it, all of the above. Ways that you might notice if you need to work with or play with your feminine energy. One is just general curiosity. Like, if you curiously just want to play with your feminine energy, that's a good enough reason to do so. If you tend to absorb other people's emotions a lot, if you're finding it difficult to kind of create a barrier with yourself, or you're feeling very overwhelmed by all the emotions you're feeling on a day-to-day basis, or like you're kind of just sitting there riding the waves all the time and the waves are big. If you sometimes feel like maybe you're too self-sacrificing, you're giving a lot of your energy away to other people and you're trying to find a way to kind of come home within yourself. If you're feeling any kind of bitterness, resentment, envy, if you're feeling really unconfident about yourself, if you're feeling like you kind of maybe neglect your feminine side, or you're feeling really constrained or tense, or any of those things, if you're feeling like you can't tap into your creativity, you can't seem to be fluid or flowing with life lately, or with what you're feeling lately, all of these things are kind of like symptoms, you might say, of unattended to feminine energy. At least that's what I'm gonna say it is. And you can take that with a grain of salt if you'd like to. We're gonna go through 4 different ways that you can actually work with that feminine energy, whether you are overactivated or underactivated, and how to really bring yourself into balance when it comes to that yin energy that you carry within. I'm gonna dive into exactly when, what, and how to do these things, but I made them more general because I want you to take this and make it work for you. Like I'll give examples, but realistically, if you sit with yourself, you're gonna know exactly which one you might need more than the other. And the first one is giving yourself space and grace. I made this the first way that you can work with your feminine energy because when I think about feminine energy, even around me and that I've witnessed as a whole, it seems like a lot of the times we always seem to be out of time and be rushing so quickly with life that we're unable to give ourselves grace. And by grace, I literally even just mean empathy, to be able to tap into your sensitivity, to be able to breathe and just kind of take your time with things. And that could totally be my own self-projection because I tend to be a more anxious person. Whenever I'm in that anxious state or whenever I feel super activated all the time, this is the hardest one or the hardest tip I find to implement into day-to-day life is giving space and grace when it feels like everything is a constant chase. I did not mean for that to rhyme, but I will pat myself on the back for that one. This is basically the opposite of anything that's demanding, or you can fix this word, but self-deprecating. And I mean that in the sense of just being really hard on yourself, expecting a lot out of yourself in a tight time constraint, rushing yourself, and just being very demanding of yourself. It's the exact opposite of that energy. And this is something that you might want to give yourself when things are going wrong in your life, when you've made a mistake, if you're feeling really stressed out or tense about things that are happening in your life, if you're feeling really rushed, or just in general, if you're being really hard on yourself. So how exactly can you give yourself space and grace? Realistically and logically, I mean, it's giving yourself time. And I think that that's the one and most important thing that you can do. Really cliche saying that like time can heal everything. But I really genuinely believe that when you give yourself time, that really is giving yourself, in our very linear, three-dimensional way of experiencing life, that's giving yourself space. It's putting some space between you and whatever you're moving towards in life. And you're allowed to go at a slower pace. You're allowed to take more time. You're allowed to process things maybe a little slower or take your own path or whatever. But by doing so, you're going to activate that more powerful feminine energy that's going to allow you to move through life more gracefully. So giving yourself more time than you need. I mean, take a goal that you have for like next year and make it a goal for the next 3 years or 5 years or whatever it is. And this is also kind of difficult, I feel like, in today's world sometimes because of things like technology, social media, us constantly being so tapped into what everybody else is doing. It becomes a very subconscious thing to put yourself on a treadmill and start feeling like you need to move on to the next accomplishment, to the next thing, to the next phase of your life, and travel destination, the next this, the next that, career goals, whatever it is. And that subconscious treadmill, nobody's putting you on it and you don't mean to put yourself on it. It's just a general fact or truth about what it's like to live in today's world and be so tapped in and tuned to what everybody else is doing. So giving yourself space even from your phone is a way to give that space and grace back to yourself. Also, huge is just honestly sleep. Meditations, naps, all of those also fit into giving yourself some space and some grace. It's that stillness that your soul might be needing, that pause, that breath, that inhale, and that can only come from rest. And another thing you can do is just implementing a little mini habit within your day, whether it's 20 minutes in the morning or 20 minutes at night before bed or both. You could journal during that time, you can meditate during that time, you can stretch during that time, you can dance during that time, but it's just giving yourself like a daily habit of space for yourself to fill however you want to in that day. It's not planned, it's not defined. It's like 20, 30 minutes, however much time you can give yourself to do what you want to do. It's also within that space and that time that you give yourself, empathizing with yourself and with others, which is another thing that I feel like can really help, you know, with stressful situations and with if you have made a mistake or you feel like you're further behind than you want to be in life or whatever you're dealing with. If you can give yourself space to then root within yourself, you're usually able to be more empathetic with yourself. And that is so huge when it comes to moving more gracefully through life, because you're no longer at odds with yourself. You're in alignment with yourself. And it's not to sit there and be washed away in self-pity and like to victimize yourself. That's definitely not the case. It's finding that healthy balance of understanding outside forces and inside forces working together, and how sometimes, most times, almost all the time, it can't be perfect. And you can empathize with yourself for that, because it's a very human thing to experience when things don't go your way, or you do make a mistake and you learn a lesson the hard way. It's human. So the second way that you can play with your feminine energy is expression. And this is usually a favorite just because I feel like this is where you see so many people get creative, and it really is that sense of creative energy. I feel like there's a lot of emotional bypassing. I feel rude saying that. Like, it's not that's a very general thing to say about the world, but I do feel like a lot of the times we kind of harp on our emotions and we see them as being fruitless or being like kind of pointless. And if you get washed away or swept away in your emotions, like you kind of get passed off, or I'm looking for a better way to say that. Basically, working with your emotions or being an emotional person is really looked down on. And I feel like that is so unfortunate, because when you actually tap into your emotions, emotions are just information. And if you're able to use that information that your incredibly intelligent body, mind, and soul are brewing up for you, you can channel that into so many different things. And that's where expression comes in. You know, the greatest artists, the greatest poets, everything, like even life itself, nature itself is a form of expression. It's energy in motion. It's energy expressed in some way, in some manifestation. So by expressing and channeling how you feel, rather than suppressing or neglecting how you feel, you're also activating and channeling and moving into that feminine energy and allowing it to work for you. And that's a powerful thing. There was this quote on my old yoga studio in Toronto that always used to sit with me, because I used to think about it from every angle I could possibly think of it through. And it was the only way out is through. And I feel like that, when it comes to emotions, is so true. The only way out of your emotions, or out of feeling the things you feel, the heaviness, the sadness, the love, the joy, the curiosity, all of it, is to work through it, not to just push it away. Because when you push emotions away, they harbor, they sit, they tense up in your body, and they become these almost like psychological trap doors that we end up falling down, and these could be built up for years. So to express your emotions is really to express your energy, and it is a powerful thing to do. Do not let anybody dismiss the way you feel, especially if you're channeling the way you feel into something. I can understand maybe sometimes dismissing how someone feels if it's like all you do is constantly feel, and that's that overactive or greater yin energy that I was talking about in the beginning. Sometimes feeling too much all the time can cause people around you to be almost kind of like exhausted by feeling like they constantly have to keep up with your emotions. So expressing your emotions, in my opinion, is also a really good way to keep yourself in alignment so that you're not over-expressing and over-dumping on other people. So how can you express yourself? Man, this question is like my favorite, because this is going to be completely unique to you, and anything that makes you feel like you forget time, I would say, is like the best way to know what you would be really good at in terms of expression. That can be art, dance, it can be writing, it can be singing, it can be music, it can be painting, it can be even putting together outfits, it can be interior design, it can be, I don't know, maybe you want to express yourself through food and through cooking and baking, and oh my God, there's literally endless ways that you can express yourself. You pull together a mood board, or I don't know, maybe even the way you make your coffee is a self-expression. Like maybe you're just feeling extra, and you're just putting all the whipped cream and toppings on your coffee today because you just want to express that extraness. Like that is expression. It is like literally turning your life into art, and everything being an expression of everything you're absorbing and how it makes you feel. You know? I don't know, I just got really passionate about that, but it's because expression is in my opinion, one of the most beautiful facets of life. It's where you really get to see the individuality of all of us, even though we're all interconnected through our energy. We're all programmed differently. We all digest and download things differently. And so what you get, what outcome comes out of that is going to be completely unique and individual as our fingerprints. When you see somebody, male or female, anyone expressing themselves, I always just get so intrigued by that because there's so much you can see and hear and analyze through somebody's self-expression. You know, expression is cool, man. That's where art comes from. That's where the best songs we've ever loved, the best movies we've ever watched, the dances, or like going to a symphony and it just freaking moves you. Like, that is expression. We can move on to the next one, but express yourself. Today's Coffee Talk podcast episode was brought to you guys by Best Fiends. With life being all about connections to other people, to the outside world, to the community, to your family, and even to yourself, sometimes in some moments, all you want to do is just connect to something that allows you to have a bit of a break. And that's when I like to clear a few levels on Best Fiends, the 5-star rated mobile puzzle game. Now, I personally love it because, for one, it is such a nice and welcome distraction that you don't need Wi-Fi for, and I like using my brain with the puzzles and just feeling more active on my phone. I also really like that they update the game throughout the year to go with the different seasons. So for instance, there was like a little pumpkin challenge for collecting pumpkins around Halloween, and everything was like all spooky, including the slugs, but now that it's moving into Christmas time, they'll update it for Christmas time, and I just feel like, I don't know, I appreciate those little details, especially in games and in apps. So I'm clearing close to the 80th level, which is kind of insane, but I play it a lot, especially when I can't sleep at night, which is my other favorite time to play this game. But I've heard a lot of you guys have also been playing and are on way further levels than me. So a really cool thing to know is that there's actually 5,000 levels and counting, so you will never run out of levels. And there's always, like I said, constant updates, so there's more levels being added and fun little changes on the game based on the feedback that they get from us. Just please don't blame me if you kind of get obsessed. If you want to check it out, download Best Fiends for free today on the Apple App Store or Google Play. It's like Best Friends, but without the R. Best Fiends. 2020 has brought a lot of self-reflection with things that maybe interfere with our happiness, things that stop us from achieving our goals. When that happens, I feel like it's so important to be able to have somebody to talk to speak to. For me personally, I find that when my anxiety or my depression starts to be activated, it really gets in the way of me feeling happy on a day-to-day basis or achieving the goals that I set myself out for. And so that's why I want to talk to you guys about BetterHelp. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist that you can meet with online. You connect in a safe and private environment. It's super convenient, and you can be communicating with your therapist in less than 24 hours. It's definitely not self-help, it's actual professional counseling. You're able to send a message to your counselor at any time, and you're going to get timely and thoughtful responses with the ability to schedule your weekly video or phone sessions. Guys, if I did not have an online therapist, I'm telling you, I don't even know who I would be today. I've been doing this since 2018 now, and I have conquered and overcome so many things, including things that I even talked about in today's episode, if we've gotten to this part yet, but with unpacking my relationship with my mom in therapy and just all of that. It's all things that you're able to do with a therapist and to work so closely one-on-one in a safe environment. So this service is available for clients worldwide, and they have a broad range of expertise available that might not be locally available in many areas, such as depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, trauma, grief, LGBT matters, family conflicts, and a lot more. Also note that everything you share is confidential, it's convenient, it's professional, it's affordable. You can even check out the testimonials posted daily onto their site. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. If you want to start living a happier life today, as a listener, you can get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/coffeetalk. Join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's betterhelp, HELP.com/coffeetalk. Y'all, if you're coffee or tea drinkers, you're definitely going to want to hear about
Ember. This is literally a mug that you can set the temperature that you like to sip to and use the app to do so, and then literally have the perfect sip of coffee or tea or hot cocoa or whatever it is that you drink every time you go to drink it. There is this weird pet peeve I have with food and drinks where it's like a very subconscious thing, but I need things to be at a certain temperature, and it becomes a problem because I tend to either chug my coffee or eat really fast because I don't want my food to get cold or my drink or my coffee to get cold, and that's why Ember is amazing. It's a temperature controlled smart mug that keeps your coffee and tea hot until the very last sip, so you never have to rush your drink. You get to just sip and enjoy. With a sleek design, Ember has a long-lasting built-in battery, so you can sip your coffee in any room of the house without it getting cold, and when you're ready to recharge, you just replace it on the charging coaster. The Ember app will notify you when your preferred drinking temperature is reached, so even if you're rewarming a drink, you can literally just do it in the mug itself and not have to use the microwave and potentially burn your mouth. And Ember is unlike any other products on the market by offering precision temperature control. They also have their mugs available in 10 ounces and 14 ounces and a travel mug, so you can literally get one that goes with you. Ember is the must-have gift of the season, and if you want to use my code, just KALYN, you can get 10% off at ember.com. Order early for holiday delivery.
So the third way that you can work with your feminine energy is through self-love. And I don't mean self-love in the fluffy way that sometimes self-love is seen now. And I don't even mean to call self-love fluffy. I just think that, like I said, we live in a time where we have an abundance of information out on the interwebs and at our fingertips. So sometimes we see words like self-love or self-care, and all of these things kind of become fluff in a sense for I don't know, ordering your favorite pizza and just not leaving your bed, which, hey, if that is your self-love for the day, don't let anybody tell you different. But self-love, and what I mean by exploring your feminine energy with self-love, I'm talking about exploring your body, exploring your dreams, exploring your desires, exploring your senses, exploring your curiosities, just exploring you. And doing so is a form of, or in itself, a collective experience of self-love. So we talked about this a little bit in the ladies' chat where I dipped into the whole idea of female pleasure and exploring your body and doing it by yourself. And I mean, you can also explore your body with somebody else too, but I do think that it is a very powerful thing to do, to learn your body, to explore your body. Yeah, I'm gonna crack open again and just be really honest, but it took me years to finally take out a mirror and just look at my flower, if you will. God, are you cringing? I'm cringing a little bit. I don't know how else to say it on the internet, but you know what I mean. I think that the more you learn about your body, the more you listen to your body, the parts of our body that we also publicly tend to either shame or dismiss, like our boobs, or if you are a female and you have a vagina, exploring that. What does it look like? What different parts of it feel like what, and all of that to me is a form of self-love and is a form of embracing your feminine energy. And one of the things that I said in that chat that I feel is coming back to me again today is the whole idea that if you don't know how to touch or work your body, it's hard to tell somebody else how to touch and work your body. And again, that's not to say you can't explore those things with somebody and learn it that way, but I feel like there is a huge sense of empowerment that comes from learning for yourself, but not even just sexually. I'm talking about learning what parts of your body are tense or are more flexible than the other, and just learning yourself, just really self-study in a way, physically, but also we're going to talk about it emotionally and spiritually too. That means writing down your life dreams, journaling, and that kind of coincides with the whole self-expression, but learning where your emotions are at instead of neglecting them, and creating space for those emotions by writing them out, or writing out your dreams, or writing out your desires, playing with your senses, like I said, which aren't just physical physical touch, but, eating a healthy but also delicious meal that you've made for yourself, or listening to your favorite kinds of music, moving your body in any kind of way that feels good to you, tending to your hobbies and your interests. Like when you are into something, when you really enjoy something and you give that to yourself, that is a form of self-love. And even if like your life gets hectic and busy, but creating that time to, whether it's reading or cooking or playing the guitar or, I don't know, playing piano, wearing very comfortable or flowy clothing, like all of that is really the embodiment of that self-love that I'm speaking of, the self-love that is tending to your feminine energy in a sense, and through self-study and self-curiosity, and really, again, kind of tying back to the last two, expressing yourself through that self-study and self-curiosity, and creating space for it, creating space to accept yourself as you are without feeling any need to change yourself. And this definitely, and most, like if I was speaking to you through written word right now, I'd be underlining your body. Like this includes embracing and exploring and accepting your body as it is right now too, which is, I think, is another dipping into kind of the more diet culture and the way that the world is right now too. It's getting better, mind you. We're starting to see more diversity in body types rather than just this one or two maybe like accepted body types in females. And that even goes down to learning how to love, express, and accept your own body and your own shape and your own, just you, just who you are, like everything that makes you you.
Okay, guys, it's December, which means we can officially start watching Christmas movies. Best time of the year. But what if you go to Netflix and you discover that your favorite Christmas movie isn't available? Get ready to have your mind blown, because you can actually use ExpressVPN to watch any Netflix library in the world. For instance, just this last weekend, I decided to test this theory. I've tested it before, but I decided to test it again because I wanted to watch Love Actually on the German Netflix, and it was so simple. I literally opened the app, hit one button to change my location, refreshed my Netflix, and that was it. Love Actually became available. ExpressVPN lets you control where you want sites to think you're located, so you can choose from almost 100 different countries. Not only that, it also protects all the information on your laptop, and it stops trackers from tracking you on different sites as well. Plus, it's not just Netflix that it works with. ExpressVPN works with all streaming devices like Disney Plus, Hulu, BBC iPlayer, you name it. Now, there's hundreds of VPNs out there, but I personally use the ExpressVPN to watch movies and shows and to protect my online identity because it's ridiculously fast. There's never any buffering, and you can always stream in HD. And it works across all of your devices, including phones, tablets, media consoles, smart TVs. You can watch whatever you want, wherever you want, or go to the big screen. If you guys want to give it a shot, check out my link at expressvpn.com/KALYN. You can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. So if you want to support the show and watch what you want and get your holiday fix, just head to expressvpn.com/Kalyn. Today's Coffee Talk podcast episode was also brought to you by HelloFresh. If you're looking for a gift to give to other people or even to yourself, then HelloFresh is definitely a good choice. Guys, sending somebody a HelloFresh week of groceries, week of meals, week of just food that they can easily prep themselves, or like I said, you can do it for yourself. It is the best way to stay stress-free for the holidays. With convenient no-contact delivery to your doorstep for easy home cooking with family, the recipes are super easy to follow with simple steps and pictures to guide you along the way, and they cut out all the stressful meal planning and grocery trips. Or like I said, if you know somebody, for instance, my sister right now, who just had a baby, you could send something like a HelloFresh package to them for the week so that they have their meals covered for them. Plus, it's a great value because you save 40% when you use HelloFresh versus shopping at the grocery store. The other really cool thing about using HelloFresh is that it helps you eat more sustainably. HelloFresh is the first global carbon neutral meal kit company, and by skipping the grocery store and using HelloFresh, you're reducing your food waste by at least 25%. Plus, that also puts more money back in your pocket. The packaging HelloFresh uses to ship your food is almost entirely entirely made from recyclable or already recycled content. And HelloFresh's carbon footprint is actually 25% lower than store-bought grocery-made meals. Not to mention they are committed to giving back. They donate to those in need, and so far in 2020, they have donated 3.5 million meals, which is amazing. You can help too with HelloFresh Beyond the Box program, where you give nutritious meals to those experiencing food insecurity with just a couple clicks on the app. So go to hellofresh.com/talk80 and you can use that code talk80 to get $80 off, including free shipping. Again, just head to hellofresh.com/talk80 and then use the code talk80 and you can get $80 off, including free shipping.
And then the fourth and final general way that you can play with, work with, or channel your feminine energy is through your girl tribe. And this is definitely where I am going to be speaking more gender specific in terms of spending more time, if you are a woman, with women around you. And this includes your friends, your sisters, your aunts, your moms, your grandmothers, cousins, neighbors, and I'm even going to include like your role models and, you know, artists and just people that are out there that you might not even be able to spend time with in terms of like quality face-to-face time, but you can maybe listen to their music or read their books or watch their TED Talks or their seminars, you know? And doing that, spending your time around collective female energy is very empowering. And how you can actually do that, like I kind of just expressed a few different ways that you can with more of the role models or the artists in your life, or like public speakers or females in that sense, like powerhouses, just full female powerhouses, but you probably have many female powerhouses in your close circle. Listen to their stories, make time with your friends, sit and ask them deep questions about how they're doing and where they're at. Listen to their soul, you know, let them express themselves and be kind of like an open space for them. It's also allowing your female tribe to create space for you too, and for you to be able to express yourself, tell your stories, talk about your soul, and have those deep conversations that really heal you in that deep space, you know? And I want to add this in because if we're speaking of feminine energy, channeling it, activating it, healing it, then I think we should especially talk about the opposite of what that is. And this fits in really good here because you know those friends you have where you do have those deep healing conversations, even if you're just like, you don't even have to be talking about deeply rooted issues. You just spend time with certain people in your life and they feel just deep to you. It feels like a deeper connection. This isn't to say to spend time with your female tribe gossiping or tearing other women down or competing against other women. And I feel like connected to this point, but even just in a general sense to tie up today's conversation, I feel like the direct opposite of working with your feminine energy is sensing or feeling that competitiveness or that envy or like not degrading other women, but also degrading other women, but kind of tearing other women down. And I feel like, again, that's something we definitely see in media, like where we pit women against each other, like who wore it best, or, you know, like who do you like more, or male artists versus female artists, where if a guy is really successful, even if he's kind of a jerk, everybody's like, yeah, but I understand, like, look at all of his success. But if a female is really successful and she can be, I don't know, I don't want to say the B word, but maybe a little sassy, that's a better word to say. Like there's people will just be like, they'll completely dismiss their success and be like, oh, I just don't like her for whatever reason. I'm dipping so far into my feminist head right now. But it's just to say that I think nitpicking other women's flaws, getting together with other women to gossip or to like tear other women down, or even if you're not able to be around your female tribe, but you're catching yourself feeling envious or almost just threatened by other female energy, I feel like that's also a really important note to make, because again, there's nothing wrong with experiencing that. It's very valuable information, and it's also very human for you to feel. Like guys feel it too. Guys have that like bravado, beat on the chest. Again, I'm generalizing, but like who can beat up who? And like for females, it's a little bit more complicated, because I feel like whereas spending time and really activating that feminine power is lifting other women up, the opposite of that is emotionally manipulating other women. So while you can give a boost to another woman's energy and another woman's emotion, or another man's, because that also still works with that feminine energy, the complete opposite of that is kind of like emotionally manipulating situations, being happy to see somebody fail. Again, just feeling like that darkness or that gray cloud that comes about where it's just like every man or every woman for themselves, and that really cuts you off from that feminine energy. And that's coming from something deeply rooted, a deep insecurity, which ties us right back to number one, which is giving yourself space and grace to really explore what is creating that imbalance within, you know? And I say that because I feel like even sometimes I've caught myself on social media or whatever it is, feeling like envious, being like, oh, like, look at what this girl has. She's got it all. She seems like she's got it figured out. Like, everything seems so like put together. And social media does that to us. And I think that media in general can do that to us. I don't know why I felt compelled to just talk about what exploring and empowering your divine energy isn't, because when you're able to also notice what something isn't, you can make better decisions to steer clear of it. Anyway, that was my ramble, and my tea is officially cold. So with that, I'm gonna leave you guys here today. I hope you guys enjoyed talking about that divine female energy. If you guys want to dip deeper, I know that I spoke more generically on the whole topic today of energies, but when we talked about it last time, I was speaking about the more, you know, sexual end, if you will, of the divine energy, embracing your sexual appeal, if you will, which I feel like could be like a deeper side of this topic. And again, just like I mentioned before, I'm happy to talk about all these things with you guys because this is what we do on a weekly basis. But also, if you want to hear the chat on sexual polarity, all the stuff that I've basically just been like dipping into and researching in the background when I've been just all up in my moon energy and completely just for whatever reason distant from my solar energy, then let me know, because I can pull it together and try and pull enough solar energy together to put it into a video for you guys and blog posts and all the works. But outside of that, I'll leave you here. I love you guys all the way to Proxima being back. I'm giving you guys the biggest internet hug because I miss you, and vlogs will be coming back soon. Outside of that, I'll talk to you guys whenever I see you next. Bye guys.